I'm going to tell you a story about a real activist judge. And when I say a real activist judge, I'm not talking about a fake activist judge like Vaughn Walker. Vaughn Walker's the guy who ruled on Proposition 8 in California. The conservatives went nuts. They got their panties in a bunch. They said, this guy's gay. He can't possibly rule in an unbiased way on Proposition 8. Obviously, that was patently absurd, and we could make the same argument. Should Clarence Thomas not be ruling on anything that involves race of any kind? I mean, should Sonia Sotomayor not be ruling on anything that involves gender? It's a ridiculous argument. So Vaughn Walker was not an actual activist judge. There is a guy that you need to be aware of who is actually an activist judge, and we actually have evidence to prove it, not just rhetoric, not just conjecture about, well, he's gay, so we can't rule on Prop 8 fairly. We actually have evidence that Judge Henry Hudson, it's really his name, this is the guy who just recently ruled in Virginia that the mandate clause in Barack Obama's healthcare reform law is unconstitutional. So there's a number of reasons why this is not a guy who is equipped and ready to decide on this type of law. But first, I'll just give you some background on Judge Henry Hudson. Here's a quote from him. "I live to put people in jail. I live to put people in jail." That should tell you something from his legal career. He didn't live for justice when he was a state attorney, a Commonwealth's attorney. He lived to put people in jail. And you know what? He actually did that. There's actually a story, and this is unbelievable, and there's a specific case that actually points out that he really did live to put people in jail as opposed to living for justice. David Vasquez was a mentally retarded man who Hudson decided to try as a capable, sane adult for a 1984 rape and murder. Hudson got a conviction and sent Vasquez to jail for 5 years. Now, if he were guilty, you would say, well, we can argue over whether he was fit to stand trial or not. I say he wasn't. Turns out the guy wasn't even guilty. 5 years later, after the mentally retarded man that Henry Hudson prosecuted spent 5 years in jail, they actually found the real killer. This guy Hudson also led a campaign to get rid of all adult bookstores, massage parlors, and other venues, anything linked to the sale of porn in Arlington County. You know, he was one of these guys who thought more porn leads to sex crimes. Obviously, no social scientist of any real legitimacy believes that. It was completely false. So that was another one of Hudson's initiatives. But remember, Vaughn Walker is gay, so we can't take his word on anything that involves sexual orientation. Here's the real scary part. Here's the real part that makes it obvious that this man, Henry Hudson, is an activist judge, and he should not have been ruling on the constitutionality of healthcare in Virginia. He's a stakeholder in Campaign Solutions Incorporated. Well, what's Campaign Solutions? Campaign Solutions is a Republican consulting firm that not only works on conservative causes, as you can imagine, they actually were hired to convince people through media campaigns that Obama's health care reform bill was unconstitutional. So let me repeat that for you. Hudson, Campaign Solutions. The judge ruling on whether health care is constitutional or not derived income from a consulting firm that was out there getting paid to convince people health care was unconstitutional. And if you think that's bad enough, that's not even all. It goes further than that. There's a guy named Ken Cuccinelli. If you've never heard of him, he's the Virginia Attorney General. He filed the lawsuit that Henry Hudson ruled on, okay? So Ken Cuccinelli thought that Barack Obama's health care reform bill was unconstitutional. He filed a lawsuit. Henry Hudson sided with him, saying it is unconstitutional. Here's where it gets even more interesting. Campaign Solutions Incorporated, of which Judge Henry Hudson is a stakeholder, actually provided $9,000 worth of services to Ken Cuccinelli in the last couple of years, which Cuccinelli paid for, okay? So what we have here is Ken Cuccinelli buys services from a Republican consulting firm, which is out there to make people believe healthcare reform is unconstitutional, files a lawsuit in Henry Hudson's court. Hudson is receiving money from that same firm, and Hudson rules in favor. But remember, guys, Vaughn Walker is an activist judge because he's gay, and Prop 8 has to do with gay people. Henry Hudson, certainly, without any question, we can say that he should have recused himself from this Virginia trial. Now, let's be honest, this has already been appealed. I'm hopeful that it is going to get overturned. Regardless, this is an opportunity to get out there and say, you know what, if we had national health care, Whether judges are receiving money or not from Republican consulting firms doing messaging on health care, it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter. This is yet another issue that goes away if you have national health care. Will the Democrats and progressives get together on that and actually put together such a campaign? I really doubt it.